Hella Hella Gorge on the Umkomaas River near Richmond in Natal is the scene for the start of the 1991 Umkomaas Challenge. Canoeists are faced with 160 kilometres of fast-flowing water littered with obstacles. Unique in the world, the Umkomaas Challenge is acknowledged as the supreme test of canoeing ability. Tension runs high before the start. Not only are the competitors faced with 3 days of hard paddling, but just around the corner is the first of 8 rapids, all notorious for their size and ferocity. This is the only canoe marathon where life jackets and helmets are compulsory. It is essential that equipment is checked and rechecked before setting off. The first batch of seated paddlers sprint off to establish their positions. Sean Rice and Colin Simpkins take an early lead in the approaches to number 1 rapid. But let's hear what it's like from Springbok paddler Rob Stewart, who's been on this water many times.
Sean and Colin have won this race before, and having been Natal boys before moving to the Transvaal, have the confidence to lead the pack into number 1. The problem with number 1 is that it hits you very early in the race, before you've had a chance to settle into your craft. A lot of paddlers come to grief because they haven't got their confidence up here. It's also difficult because the pack around you means that you can't choose your line and concentrate. You've got these guys all around you disturbing your concentration.
Some competitors choose the more prudent line, on foot, around the rapid.
But you can't walk around every rapid for 160 kilometers.
Maintaining their lead, Rice and Simpkins almost come to grief in number 2 rapid.
They dropped right into that hole and the stopper wave nearly sucked them back in.
In second place, Gavin Tarr, with last year's winner Ken Reynolds, was not so lucky.
They went into that hole too slowly and got caught. It's times like these that you think about how to survive, and you don't want to let go of your boat, but you also want to get out of there as quickly as possible.
The leading juniors, Dundas Gold and Richard van Mansberg, take the more cautious line over the rocks to the right of the rapid, while Ken Reynolds surveys the damage. Transvaal Springbok Nils Verkerk and fellow Transvaal paddler Brian Longley suffer the same fate as Tarr and Reynolds.
Nils tried very hard to keep that boat upright, but with Brian still in the hole, they didn't have the forward thrust to get them out of trouble. Number 2 rapid has changed completely since the floods. Instead of a long series of drops, it now ends with 2 big drops. If you swim from the top, you have very little chance of having a one-piece boat at the bottom. This paddler is doing the right thing and hanging on to guide his craft through the rocks. Unfortunately, he loses contact before the last drop, and that's it.
Brian Longley is exhausted from the effort to extricate himself from the jaws of the Umkomaas. Approaching number 4 rapid, Transvaal Springboks Robbie Hereford and Neil Evans are putting in a surge. With Tarr and Reynolds out of the race, third place is now held by one of last year's winners, Grant Williston, partnered this year by the new Doozy King, John Edmonds. At House Rock Rapid, Hereford and Evans have overtaken Rice and Simpkins. This waterfall at number 7 rapid heralds the end of the Hella Hella Gorge. Graham Perpelis, 15 times Doozy winner and former winner of the Umkomaas, with his protege Kevin White, has little trouble steering his way through number 7 in 8th position. Others are not so lucky.
Leading juniors Golden van Mansberg are going really well, as are Tim Whitfield and Mandy Murray, the leading mixed double.
Meanwhile, Neil Blue and Chris Jennings are having a spot of bother.
Neil's lost contact with his boat and getting washed into that eddy behind the rock. Chris was a very good swimmer in his youth, I don't think he realized how much he'd need that ability now. Looks like he's very grateful for his life jacket as well.
This mixed double pair shows that hands were made before paddles. Back at number 2 rapid, the patching goes on.
Bad navigation.
And some are faced with the long walk out of the valley.
This is where the camaraderie comes in, and there are always people willing to lend a hand.
Okay, gotta go. Bye. That's helmet.
Peter Mountford and Louis Carstens, lying in 3rd place in the mixed doubles, are one of the few craft to attempt Robbie's special, number 5 and 6 rapids. In under 2 hours, Josephine's Bridge and the end of the first day are in sight, with Robbie Herefelt and Neil Evans seconds ahead of Sean Rice and Colin Simpkins. Due to access problems since the 1987 floods, the paddlers spent the first night at the Richmond Country Club. There's only 17 seconds between the first 2 teams and some 5 minutes separating the first 8. The short first day means a longer second stage. Among the many sad stories from the first day was that of pre-race favourites Perrault and Monteith.
Tried to go left at the bottom rock and hit something hell of a hard. And then the boat went through the gap sideways and was a bit long for the gap. So it got bent. By the time we'd fixed that, we were a good 50 minutes behind, and obviously we couldn't make that up.
We were going to go hard still and enjoy the race, but I don't think we're going to get back in front.
Are you a bit worried about your partner?
Yeah, he's showing signs of wear and tear, and he's actually more at home these days with a golf club in his hand. So I'm actually a little bit apprehensive, yes.
Yes, Rob, I'm enjoying the race. It should be pretty good. I'm not looking forward to today's 71Ks though, but I think it should be fun.
Les, do you think your partner's going to make it today?
He'll make it. It's whether I'll make it or not. That's the question.
Today, I think the problem is the distance. Everyone's worried about whether it's 5 hours, 5.5 hours, and no one, I think, has done the training besides Robbie Herefelt and Neil Evans.
Are you going to work together with Sean and Colin, or are you going to go out on your own?
We'll see what happens. If they're willing to help, then they might do something as well. Well, there's only 17 seconds between us, and it's a hell of a long day today, so it might be advisable for both of us to catch each other, to work together, certainly, yeah.
Are you looking forward to a nice little paddle today?
Yeah, a little paddle would be nice. I think 5 hours is going to be a little bit long.
With Bruce Clark's lunch having gone to his head, the slower paddlers, or fish and chips, are sent off in batches earlier than the leaders in order to give them more daylight hours in which to finish this stage. Within sight of the start, they face their first major obstacle, another rapid which appeared after the 1987 flood.
Rob Davey, the leading whitewater boat, shows why these craft are better for the Umkomaas, with a classic demonstration of the Eskimo roll.
At St Elmo's, the leaders are passing the pack. Herefelt and Evans are putting in a surge, and Rice and Simpkins, who took a swim, now have Williston and Edmonds on their tail. Nearly 40 kilometres downstream from Josephine's Bridge, the 4-foot drop marks halfway. The Springbok pair of Mark Perrault and Graham Monteith are leading the fish and chips after their mishap on the first day put them out of contention. Some paddlers use this as a lunch stop.
Unlike the Disney, you've got a pattern.
Yeah. I've got 3 bananas, 2 for me and 1 for Barrow, because I need more power than him being the main man in the front.
What happened, bro?
Yes, I think that wave there caught me with that little rock at this nose. What can I say? I spent.
It cools you down a bit.
With the heat simmering on the rocks and still a long way to the finish, upstream there's been drama. Third-placed Wollaston and Edmonds have broken their boat and are walking to the riverside store. It's the end of the race for them. 30 kilometres later, the paddlers are approaching Umkomaas rapid.
Darren Rohr took us for a ride through Umkomaas. The problem with this rapid is that it is tricky enough when you are fresh. To have it thrown at you after 70 kilometers of paddling is murder. The only compensation is that it gets the adrenaline going, that perks you up a bit.
What happened there, Rob?
As I said, the paddlers are tired at this stage, and Darren has been caught off balance and turned over. Fortunately, he can roll and comes up again.
At the end of the second stage, the first paddlers home and third fastest on the day were Graham Monteith and Mark Perrow.
Just went at one steady pace and kept going, but it's a long way up. And I think the back markers are going to be there coming in tonight, late tonight.
Herefeld and Evans now lead by 3 minutes 40 seconds.
Robbie and Neil paddled really well. They just paddled away from us for the first hour, and we lost contact.
3 minutes, anything can happen. One small swim, bit of a bash on the nose, take a bit of water. Put in contact.
The craft is showing the effects of 129 kilometres of Umkomaas, and the patching goes on through the afternoon. And for some unlucky paddlers, into the night.
These paddlers walked into the camp at 8 o'clock at night. Unfortunately for them, are getting some assistance in putting their boat back together.
With the second boat now 3 minutes behind, the long day has spread the field out. Pope Ellis and White have moved up into fourth position. The last day dawns, and again the fish and chips are sent off in batches before the leading 15 craft, who are sent off in a lapse time. Even though it's the last day, spirits were still high, and this golfing team was still able to pull each other's legs.
The race is difficult enough without having a 24 handicap canoeist in the back, which didn't help yesterday at all, but we hope he improves today.
On behalf of my family, I'd like to formally apologize to my partner. Without him, I wouldn't be here.
Again, there's a bad rapid shortly after the start to wake the paddlers up.
This is another of those rapids which has come into contention since the floods. Prior to 1987, you could miss bad rapid in a channel on the left. If you want to paddle it now, you have to go through the rapid, and it is mean at any level. Again, the fact that you are in a pack makes it more difficult. This race is not just about getting from Hella Hella to Umkomaas. It is about surviving some of the worst rapids that anyone would consider shooting in a marathon kayak. In a K2, it's about teamwork, coordination and looking after your partner, keeping out of trouble and fighting for survival when you are in trouble.
The Umkomaas waterfall. And again the leaders are threading their way through the field. Herefeld and Evans are holding on to their lead, but Rice and Simpkins are very close behind.
This is the only recognised portage of the race, and the lead has been known to change here.
Rice and Simpkins are in contact with the leaders.
Yes, but they still have to put on their spray covers.
At the aptly named Whirlpool Rapid, one of the safety crew nearly came to grief himself after being caught in the whirlpool. Stanley Fryman prepares for an otter entry, while Lake and his partner 5E swim down past the whirlpool.
That water from the left caught them by surprise. Fortunately, once they are past the whirlpool, it is not too bad a swim and not much slower than portaging around the rapid.
Young Shane Raw goes for it, but is also caught by the side current.
Shane gets full marks for hanging in there. These youngsters have a belt holding their legs into the kayak so that they can roll, because these marathon kayaks are not designed for rolling, unlike a whitewater boat which has a much smaller cockpit. He missed his first attempts because he wasn't sweeping his blade across the water, but he finally gets it right.
The notorious Gully Rapid had paddlers scraping over the rocks to keep away from the main chute. Further downstream, leaders Herefeld and Evans confidently opened up their lead on the flat water. Meanwhile, back at No Name Rapid, it's again giving paddlers lots of problems. Plenty of local interest is shown in these competitors who face a long walk out of the valley. Stewart and Fielding were a little more fortunate and proved that wood is not only for making fires. Good enough weir, the last obstacle before the finish. This weir got its name from the family who farmed in this area for many years.
That is one whitewater paddler who needs to brush up on his rolls.
After 3 days of grueling paddling and fighting murderous rapids, we saw Herefeld and Evans still looking strong after 160 kilometers of grind. Simpkins and Rice, after losing their lead on the first day, had to be content with second place, a mere 2 minutes and 6 seconds behind the leaders. But it's not only the winners who can look back with a sense of achievement. It's a triumph for anyone who can conquer the mighty Umkomaas.